Hello, today I'll be demonstrating the mechanisms of labor using a pelvis and a fetal doll. I will demonstrate each movement and explain the anatomical and physiological processes as the fetus moves through the maternal pelvis. Starting position, engagement. Fetus is in a longitudinal lie, cephalic presentation in an occiput anterior position, preferably ROA or LOA. The fetal head enters the pelvic inlet in the transverse diameter, with the sagittal suture lying in the transverse axis of the pelvis. At this stage, the presenting diameter is the occipital frontal diameter, approximately 10 centimeters. As labor begins, uterine contractions, which originate from the fundus, are dominant, meaning the upper segments contracts more stronger than the lower segments. These contractions increase in strength, frequency, duration, generating fetal axis pressure that directs force down the fetal spine towards the sacrum. Descent then occurs as the movement of the fetus into the pelvis. This occurs due to uterine contractions and later maternal effort. Engagement occurs with biparietal diameter passes through the pelvic inlet. Flexion. As the fetal head descends, it meets resistance from the cervix, pelvic walls, and pelvic floor. The resistance combined with fetal axis pressure from the uterine contractions causes the head to flex. So the head flexes inward. So the head is directed down the spine towards the sacrum, bringing the chin onto the chest. This results in the smallest diameter of the head, the suboccipitobrachmatic diameter, approximately 9.5 centimeters in presenting. This reduction in presenting diameter facilitates easier passage through the pelvis. Internal rotation of the head. So as descent continues, the fetal head reaches the pelvic floor. Due to the shape of the resistance of the pelvic floor muscle, the occiput rotates anteriorly approximately 1/8 of a circle. This movement brings the head from the transverse diameter into the anterior-posterior diameter of the pelvis, aligning in the widest part of the pelvic outlet. At this stage, the shoulders remain in an oblique diameter, creating a temporarily misalignment between the fetal head and the shoulders. Crowning descent. The occiput slips beneath the subpubic arch. Crowning occurs when the fetal head remains visible and no longer recedes when there's contractions. At this stage, the perineum is maximally being distended. So the fetal head is born by extension. So the head pivots and the suboccipital region beneath the symphysis pubis, the sinciput face and chin sweep over the perineum. Movement is driven by ongoing uterine contractions and maternal force. Restitution. After the head is being delivered, it undergoes restitution. This is a passive movement where the head rotates approximately 1/8 of a circle back. This realigns the head with the shoulders and corrects the previous twist. Internal rotation of the shoulders. As descent occurs, the shoulders reach the pelvic floor and undergo an internal rotation. The anterior shoulder rotates anteriorly approximately 1/8 of a circle towards the symphysis pubis, aligning the anterior-posterior diameter of the pelvis. External rotation. As the shoulder rotates internally, the head rotates externally. This aligns the head and the shoulders and indicates the shoulders are being ready for delivery. Lateral flexion. With continued descent, the anterior shoulder slips beneath the symphysis pubis while the posterior passes along the curve of carcass or the hollow of the sacrum. This results in lateral flexion of the fetus, and the baby is born in lateral flexion with the anterior shoulder being delivered first, when followed by the posterior shoulder and the rest of the body. And that completes the mechanism of labor video, demonstrating how a fetal adapts to the maternal pelvis through coordinated movements changes in presenting diameter and the forces generated by uterine contractions to achieve birth.